Good evening, everyone, and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And as usual, I am your host, Larry Cox. And do we have a show for you tonight? It has been a lot of happening things in Rockdale County this weekend, and this is probably this is a show that I am so grateful to bring to you tonight because I think this is some of the best news that's hit Rockdale County in a long time. Although this news comes apart from tragedy, this is also great news for Rockdale County. So I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to share and like the show. Let your friends and neighbors know about the show. Let's get a great audience tonight because you're going to get to hear from someone who is going to declare their candidacy tonight for the Rockdale County chair. And, I've known this person a long time. They are a person who cares about Rockdale County. They're a person that has actually spent their own money, their own time, their own effort. And I am grateful that this person has decided to step up and give us an opportunity to have a choice in Rockdale County. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Janice Van Ness. Janice, great to have you and welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you so much, Larry. I really appreciate it. It's been a whirlwind 36 hours, and I just appreciate you allowing me to come online tonight to This Week in Rockdale. And I definitely want to start out by saying my deepest condolences ongoing to the Ahmad family. They are dear friends, and I've known them for many, many years. And my heart is broken for them, and I really applaud Mr. Ahmad for uh, it's such an important time in his life being with his family. And so, um, I love this community so much, and I want to make sure that its future is guaranteed to be positive and healthy. And so I have a lot of great ideas. Of course, I know the community well, but Mr. Ahmad's deep commitment to the community, his true love for people in this community. I know that he was very heartbroken not to be continuing the race, but I definitely know how much he loves his family and understand their need for him right now. So hopefully I can fill this void and make a difference that would make all of our citizens very proud of our actions and decisions. And I think there's a history of me working collaboratively with people, and from all walks of life. Party doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that our citizens do get the services that they need, and that we can all afford to stay in Rockdale County. And with ever increasing taxes, especially help our seniors who are definitely in need of some financial relief from the taxes that they get every year.
So, do you want to tell everybody what you've decided to do and how you're going to do it?
Yes. So when Mr. Ahmad decided to hold his campaign and not finish the race right now to be with his family, I felt like there was a real void in the race that I feel like my experience and knowledge of the community can really fill. And so I have decided to run for chairman of Rockdale County.
So you're going to run for chairman of Rockdale County, and can you let the people know what party affiliation that you're going to file? You're going to file tomorrow, correct?
I am filing tomorrow at noon, and I will be on the Democratic ticket, so you'll be able to do early voting as early as late April.
Early voting, I believe, Jenny, starts April the 29th,
Right.
and it runs through the Friday before the May 21st elections. I think that's the 18th.
Correct.
So we'll have those, and there'll be Saturdays and Sundays, and all that'll be announced, and we'll all put those on our websites and stuff and everything. So I think I know you official, there was a soft announcement yesterday,
Yes.
and I think you got a lot of response and some positive feedback, and I think maybe that helped encourage you to let you know you made the right decision.
Yes, definitely. I think one of my friends was very excited to make the announcement, and so it's been a whirlwind, but we're very, very excited. I've had so many people reach out to me to offer their help and their expertise, and so that is definitely great momentum. I hope to bring some great new perspective and my experience working with the budget for Rockdale County, just to help stabilize the financial strain on our taxpayers in Rockdale County. So, lots of exciting news coming down the pipeline as we formulate the entire plan for our campaign. But you can know that I will always prioritize safety. And work to reduce crime by working collaboratively with our sheriff and making sure that, of course, we kind of stabilize our staffing in Rockdale County. I know there's been a lot of turnover in directors, and every time that happens, you have a loss of knowledge and expertise, as well as months to get somebody else back up to speed. And so, especially in like the planning and zoning department with permits and things of that nature, that loss of leadership definitely cost us, and errors being made for approvals of permits and things like that that aren't necessarily justified, delays in posting signs for hearings, that kind of thing that we can see example after example. But we do have, a relatively new director in the planning and zoning department, and I think she will do a great job if given the opportunity to do her job to the best of her ability.
Janice, I think people really, I mean, a lot of people know you and they know who you are, but you've been out of the political circuit here in the county for a minute. And I
Right.
think I think we need to let people understand the true experience that you have on all levels of government. Could you give us a little bit of your political history so people understand when they elect you, they get a chairman that is able to actually take that chair from day one and start doing that job? Because that's one of the things the current chairman says when people are going to run against him. Well, I'm able to do this job from day one. They're not. That comment, I don't believe, can be made about you, Miss Van Ness.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't apply to me. I feel confident in my ability at the federal level, the state level, and my local level, the local level, with 2 terms of being a county commissioner. So I was able to accomplish quite a lot while raising our children who are now 18, 23, and 25. So a lot of people are familiar, especially with our youngest daughter, Emerson, because they've seen her out in the community with me often. And so it's been a wonderful lesson for them to get to experience true service. And so I started out of college not long after interning for Senator Alan Dixon of Illinois, and then worked with Senator Hal Heflin of Alabama, who was a U.S. Senator, and he was in charge of the Judiciary Committee. So wonderful experiences that let me see a level of service to the people, and it was quite impressive. I did a lot of research for Senator Heflin in particular, and it was always impressive the people that would call in, they would write letters, and the it was just unbelievable how he knew his state so well. He knew what the people wanted, and so that always aligned with the letters that came in and the communication from concerned citizens. So anyway, great role model for me. I was able to serve in the commission from 2006 to 2014, and I got the nickname of being Eagle Eye because I definitely watched our budget and different committee budgets that came before us. So the directors would report, and we had a series of meetings that would go on just to find opportunities to save money, especially during the recession that happened during the late early 2000s. And during that time, my priority was redirecting money to our sheriff's department to make sure that we had enough funding for our deputies. So that was definitely a top priority. And then after 2 terms in the county commission, I did move on to the state senate. And that again was an outstanding experience where I saw just the legislative process being different at the state level than local legislation. And so it just gave me a very comprehensive set of skills, I think, that will be an asset to Rockdale County, not just in day-to-day operations, but also in the ability for us to gain funding and things of that nature through our legislative partnerships with our state senators, House members, and then our U.S. congressmen as
and
well.
and you know, and that's fantastic, and it's great for the citizens to know that we have an individual who is able to go in with all that experience, and you have 8 years of being on this Rockdale County Board of Commission in the past, and you know the inner workings of county government and how it's supposed to flow, and that's a great thing. It's a great thing to
Yes.
have as a somebody that can come in from day one. Janice, a big thing in the community, and you know, I'm running for an office too in the Board of Education, and I hear this as I talk to people all throughout the community. They're concerned about property taxes, especially our
Sure.
seniors. Our
Right.
seniors are concerned about being taxed out of home ownership. My good friend, the taxpayer, George Kelichek, did this chart and he presented it, and he calls them the three silos: the city, the county, and the Board of Education. And over the last 5 years, these three entities have raised in combination property taxes on the citizens of Rockdale County 187%.
Mhm.
That is a staggering amount of property taxes on a community. And I want to use some other stats Mr. Kelichek put out there too. The two largest growing age groups in the county, when you look at what the census says and the Atlanta Regional Commission, are 18 to 24-year-olds, and the biggest growing is 55 years and over.
Mhm.
And those are individuals who are retiring or be ready to retire, and they're going to have a fixed income. What do you think that we need to look at as a county when it comes to these property taxes and how we handle it as we're moving forward in Rockdale County?
Well, I think most citizens that I interact with are very frustrated with the amount of construction going on, the community being overbuilt. And so when we look at all those things, I think we're all perplexed as to how our taxes keep going up so significantly. And I do know, of course, the county taxes, the school taxes, and then the city taxes. And I think the number you mentioned earlier, the 187%, really only applies to the residents in the city because they, of course, pay that additional
But
tax.
when you take the city out, it's the non city residents, the rural Rockdale residents are still over 100% in that 5 year
Yeah,
time period.
yeah.
Oh,
So
still over a
I think
100%
everybody's gonna
increase.
leave the show and go get their tax bill, Larry, and look at it because those numbers are quite staggering. But I think that I mean, I just have so many years of looking at those budgets, and I think that, while those are concerning, you know, what makes up those numbers also goes back to the tax commissioner, the finance director, and then Will Barkley, who's in the assessor's office. So the revenue piece is really like a three-legged stool, if you will. So working collaboratively, they each have different roles, but making sure that we're as efficient as possible in the county is a top priority. And I think to do that, you've got to provide a safe workplace where people feel comfortable, that it's not toxic. And so that is going to be an ongoing focus in my campaign would be that. And many of the people at the county I still know, and they do a tremendous job. And so I'm really grateful for those employees that have done such an outstanding job. And it is very, very impressive how they are dedicated to the citizens of the county. So no matter who comes in, they're still serving. They've got that historical knowledge, and that's very, very important as we move our community forward.
So, and you mentioned something just now I'm going to follow up on, right? You mentioned the employees at the county. You still
Mhm.
know some of them. Well,
Yes,
there's a lot of them you don't know anymore
that
because
is true.
because
That is true.
over the last 6 year time period, there have been a minimum of 40 directors or assistant directors that have turned over in those positions in Rockdale County. I think we've had at least 4 directors of planning and zoning. We've
Yeah.
had multiple directorships have had 4 and 5 directors go
Right.
in and out. And you and I both know, as you know, business people who have businesses, run businesses, and you from being in
Mhm.
government, if you do not have stability at those positions, that it can cause problems. What do you intend
Absolutely.
to do to create stability in the county workforce?
So, of course, I'm familiar with the talent management component of the government that's set up now. So, I think really prioritizing a couple of things. So, one for applicants who are filling new positions or vacant positions, I think it's going to be really important to give consideration to people who do live in the county. So as you build a strong team, I think it's great when people have the knowledge of even the lay something as simple as the layout of our community. Where's the north side? Where's different areas of our community? That makes it much easier to function when you have meetings and you're talking about problem areas or things that we want to do better in. So I do think it's important for us to have some leadership that has familiarity directly with Rockdale County. you know, I don't know that we have any directors that live in Rockdale County at this time, but I certainly would like to see there be uh, a system in place during the interview process for that to be, points bump or something like that, so that they would be able to have that as an advantage if they do live in the county. So we have and let me remind people, we have a lot of very talented people in Rockdale County. Many of them work downtown at the Capitol and other high profile positions. So we definitely have talent in this community. I think that it's just making it a wonderful place to work, that they're going to want to stay local. And I think salaries have increased significantly through the years. So certainly we have competitive pay, but I think people are looking for a little bit more in life these days. And it's just not always the ultimate dollar. So that positive work environment could be a very important piece to it.
Well, I'm glad you said that about the positive work environment. And some of our people in the chat have mentioned that, some of them have actually personally sued the county. so, so,
Yes, yes,
so we have a lot of, somebody told me the other day that I think the county's liability insurance, like 5 years ago, it was like $250,000. Now it's pushing $1.5 million. So,
right.
and I think they told me that in the last 5 or 6 years, we've paid out $4.5 million in lawsuits. So, I
Yeah,
mean, so it's, it's staggering and it's crazy. So
right.
also some people
So
mentioned
so
something.
let me
Go
let
ahead.
me address that for a minute. So I think there's progressive discipline if you have that can be used. There's a lot of different things you can use if employees aren't performing at the highest level, to make sure that we're moving the target. If you've got an employee that's been there 3 years, it's worth investing in them to try and get them to a point of a higher level of service or resolve the issue versus just firing, rehiring. I mean, it's a constant cycle, and it just seems like we've lost a lot during those situations, especially when you look at planning and zoning and the finance director. Transportation director actually seems like they've had some stability in that department and some good talent, but it's really that finance director piece that we haven't had a true audit in years. I don't even know when the last one was, but having something in place so that we can actually see what the results of all this turnover are.
Yep, and that's
Sometimes it feels a little like somebody's got a checkbook and they keep writing checks, but we're not sure what the results are going to be. So
I have to agree with you 100% on that. It seems like for a year we've had like an open checkbook that's just the checks keep flying and we don't know where the money's going to come to cover the checks.
right,
That's just crazy. So there is one thing I wanted to just talk about, and you and I've talked about it a little, and I think we need to maybe set the record straight, because I've got several emails about this and people have called me and they were concerned because you said on the courthouse committee that just
yes,
and I'm very familiar with why you sat on the committee.
Mhm.
I'm very familiar with also you actually let us know some things that we were able to, but I want you to tell people, Janice, just like you told me back in the beginning, back at
Sure.
the beginning, why did you decide to sit on that committee? And then I'm going to tell some people some things that they may not know that I think they need to know when you sit on that committee, how you were looking out for us, the citizens.
Right. So I did receive a call and an invitation to serve on the committee from Commissioner Washington. And because the courthouse is going to be such an important county asset, I felt like it was a really good opportunity for me to be in the game and to have a say so on what that future piece would look like. I knew it would be a huge, probably one of the largest investments in capital that we've had in decades. And so, because I don't always trust the financial process for things like that, I really wanted to be in the football game instead of sitting on the sidelines. And so I felt like that was the best thing to do. So when I did go to the meeting that I was invited to, I was surprised a little because when we were all in a room, and it was certainly with other good citizens who have expert areas of expertise, we were then told that it would be limited to Old Town. And I mean, that definitely took me by surprise because that was no part of the conversation initially to serve. And I know a lot of citizens are very upset by that limit, that it only be in Old Town. So I knew from the get-go there was going to be frustration for citizens, and also because I'm always a fiscal conservative, that there, for me, I would like to know option A and how much it would cost built here on Parker Road, or option B, how much it would cost in Old Town, or even have an option C. But that was not the direction that the board found themselves in. And so I could have walked away at that point. But again, that was the very beginning. And so I really felt like, well, let's just go ahead and ride this out and see where it goes. And I was elected to chair of the committee by my colleagues in the room. And at that point, we just moved everything forward. We did a lot of investigation, going to other courthouses and finding the best of the best practices for design. And I think that was a very, very good learning process for all of us at the time. And then as it came to a vote at the end of how it was going to go, I actually voted no because I wasn't pleased with certain aspects of the final decision.
Well,
So,
I mean, one of the things that I noticed, Janice, is with all the money they're going to spend and everything, the whole judicial is not going to be housed in the courthouse, and we're looking at $140 million, and it's not going to be a one-stop judicial facility. That seems to be a little counterproductive, in my opinion. When
yeah.
where you,
So I have a lot of knowledge in my head, but tell me what court you feel like is not going to be in there.
well, I had understood that the probate court was not going to be in there.
That's news to me. I was not aware of that. And there's no legal reason why they wouldn't be in there.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got some information about that
Yeah.
yeah. So
That was definitely, I mean, I don't remember that being discussed. We did look at an exception for maybe juvenile, but that was only because they have certain
those
restrictions
privacy
and
restrictions.
privacy. So that could have a separate entrance, but there should be space for all of the judges and courtrooms in the new construction.
I I was, and also I want to let you were a little nice about that first meeting thing just now. Okay, so Janice was a little concerned about that first meeting because there wasn't any public announcement about it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew about it, and she wasn't certain how if they were going to, how long they were going to sort of keep this under wraps. So, she was a little concerned. So she mentioned it to a few people that knew we're not going to keep it under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I really did.
and we asked questions, and once we asked the questions, sent the information, then immediately it became public, and
Yeah.
and it came out of the darkness as we defined it, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
and we
I
appreciate
think
you doing that.
Well, thank you, Larry. I think there's also some really great staff members that are very knowledgeable about the rules, and I think they stepped in to really make sure that that was handled
Well,
correctly,
they
and I
they didn't
appreciate
step in until after they were leaned
that
on.
is true. That
So
is
let's
true.
be, those people knew that this happened beforehand and they did
Yeah.
not act, because this is the problem with that staff and those folks. This is me, this
Mhm.
is not Janice, is they feel obligated to the chairman because some of the crazy salaries they're getting for some of these jobs that they're doing. I'm just saying, when you're paying 140,
Yeah.
$150,000 to some of these folks, there's a loyalty thing that happens, and it's very
Yeah.
apparent that this has happened. It doesn't matter if you've done a good job in the past, to continue doing those jobs. And that's what you talked about earlier about people living in the county. When people live in
Yeah.
this county, they have skin in the game when they have those positions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will say some of this kind of I definitely feel like God's hand has been in this whole thing because a week ago I was at a birthday party where several other people were that are always in the know about county government, and they started talking about things that I'm like, what? That happened? And it just the news just kept on rolling, and I'm like, that there's no way that this is correct. Like, this is not the way Rockdale County needs to be run. This is not the ethical community that I want to live in, if these things are being done. And so one of the things when I left in 2014 that was really, really important to me was setting up an ethics commission. And I did get the support of my two other commissioners that I worked with, to pass that. And I was really excited about that because I said, if I'm not here, at least that sets the groundwork for it being, a watchdog, if you will, for government, for the county commissioners. And so I was pretty excited about that, all to find out that it really was never placed in action. So, there were other things that we did that I thought were really good. You mentioned earlier about 55 and over crowd and that being a growing population. I mean, certainly that makes a lot of sense. But in Rockdale County, we have all this construction, but we don't have any construction for true senior living over 55. And a lot of those ordinances were put in place before I left, and it had some great ordinance pieces to it that I really think set us up for 55 and older communities being a prime, you know, opportunity for developers and things like that, but it just never came to fruition. So, but
Yeah, well,
definitely is needed in our community.
and what do you, and just so you, what do you think about all the development in Rockdale County and what it does to our infrastructure?
Yeah. So, great question. I think across our nation, we're just seeing these booming. Everybody's trying to label it as affordable housing, and they're saying, "Oh, look, we have different options." And yes, we definitely have different options in Rockdale County, but it is concerning that we let builders build multiple projects in our community when we want to make sure that there's definitely quality in the product that they're producing, and that our citizens in this community are getting value for their dollar, and making sure that building inspectors are quality and making sure those inspections are good for the citizens. So I've visited many of those different products, townhomes, condos, houses, and I've actually found good products. So I will say that it seems like that's going pretty well, but the home prices are still not affordable for the everyday working people who are trying to make ends meet. And so I don't think those are affordable housing options, but certainly that is something I would like to work on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So Janice, is there anything that you would like to share with these voters? I mean, I think just the announcement, what you've talked about tonight, I think it should give the taxpayers and the voters of Rockdale County uh, just the excitement of knowing they're going to have a viable choice to vote for chair here in May, and you bring that choice to the citizens. So, what would you like to say as we close out with you this evening? What would you like to say to the audience?
Well, I think I have the experience and the knowledge to do an outstanding job. I genuinely love our community and the people here. And so I welcome anybody to reach out to me. My email and my phone number are going to be shared by Larry. So I definitely think that would be a great point of access for any personal questions. But I am would be happy to consider a county manager form of government. I think that could also help stabilize the government, because it's not always guaranteed that voters are going to vote in somebody with as much experience as I have. I think my financial experience is critical. I don't know that our commission right now is able to financially be as aware and have the skill set to read those financial reports. And so without that forensic audit, who really knows what financial situation we're in Rockdale County? But with all the new tax money coming in from construction projects, we ought to see a little bit of relief for our taxpayers. And if people are renting in our community, believe me, it impacts you. When you get those notices for a $300 increase per month, that's unbearable for families in our community, and we have to do better. And so I will definitely put pencil to paper to find solutions and make sure we have a lean, efficient government doing exactly what we're mandated to do. I do want to invite your listeners to participate in my campaign. If they'd like to reach out, I would love support and help. There is much to do and many people to reach, and so I would appreciate even more support. Financially, we also are accepting campaign donations and things like that, and I will be filing tomorrow at noon. So I would appreciate any additional support that I get. I know that you had a couple of listeners that had questions, and so if you don't mind, I would be glad to answer one or two.
Did you see any of them come across the screen, Janice?
I did. So let's
And then just let
see.
everybody know, I'm going to be posting as she's talking. I'm going to be putting her email address and phone number up on here as she here's her phone number. You can see it on the screen, so you can give Janice a call. We'll give her a message. That's her
Okay.
number.
I did see a question from Adrian Wise. What do you think are some of the biggest waste of money in Rockdale? I would say that just staffing, the constant turnover really is costing a lot for Rockdale, costing us a lot in Rockdale by some poor decisions just because of the leadership, not knowing the ordinances as well. Financial, in the fiscal department, certainly I am not familiar with the new director. I've heard very nice things about her. But making sure that we have well-qualified staff members is very important to me. You can imagine in the sheriff's department, constant turnover. It's hard these days hiring employees, and I think certainly a lot of thought goes into the people you hire, but retaining them is going to be very, very important and a priority. The other areas where I would say are waste would be probably some of the bloated staffing for different departments. And so I will be working closely with the most recent budget to really analyze that better and get more concrete answers.
Okay. And Janice, we had talked about something, and somebody put it in the chat, so I would like you to
Mhm.
comment on this. So
Yeah.
Cheryl replied, I think George put something on there about the property over on Sigmund Road. It was originally slated for a QT. It was assessed at $7.5 million, but the BOC decided to stroke a check for $8 million. They paid
Wow.
they paid $500,000 over assessed value for a piece of property they don't even know what they're going to do with. So I mean,
So
as
that's
chair,
really
that's speculative land buying. Do you think the county should be involved in speculative land buying?
So, of course, I don't know all the details, but that's very unusual behavior for the Board of Commissioners. And, I will definitely look into that. I've already reached out to somebody that has more information than I do about that, but I'm very concerned about why, as a county, we would take control of a prime piece of property that at one point, my understanding is that we were second on the list for Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and that actually went to Noonan only because they had closer access to some priorities that they wanted in the project. But definitely, I have concerns about our investment in that.
I appreciate that. Well, Janice, if you don't have anything else to say, I want to let you off here this evening. I encourage the audience to stick around. I'm going to talk a little bit about the pay increases that the Board of Commissioners voted themselves this week, and I'm going to talk
Oh, yeah.
a little bit about my candidacy for Board of Education because I believe that leadership reflects down. That's one of the reasons I'm excited about you, Janice, because I
Right.
believe positive and good leadership reflects down. That's why I think we have a problem in our school system. We have bad leadership at the top. That leadership reflects down to poor education. That's why I think we need a change at the top. When a sports team has a problem moving forward, they change the head coach, the general manager. When a
Right.
large corporation has a problem, they change that CFO, CEO. So
Right.
there's no difference with an educational system. When we have a failing, poor education system, and we're not focusing on discipline, reading, writing, and arithmetic, we're not focusing on base, and that's what I'm going to discuss in a little bit.
I want to tie into something. So I've worked with the city of Conyers and the school system for many years, and I will say this: the school system has a hard task. If we want a community that says families are a priority, then our community needs to reflect that. And so all these liquor stores, I mean, I'm all for business, but I am concerned by the choices that we're making as a community. And that's not the gateway that I'm necessarily looking for promoting. I'm all about supporting our families as far as making sure that we do have a healthy community and a healthy balance. And we have a lot of people with an entrepreneurial spirit. I think our Chamber of Commerce does a great job with their entrepreneurship program. So I really hope that we'll see even more businesses step up and get in the game, and let's provide our families a lot of great options for keeping our youth here in the community and making our schools even stronger. It's hard for the school system to do their job if the home isn't healthy, and so we've got to all work together in a positive way to make that happen. So
In the chat, Janice, just you mentioned that, and you may have seen it. That was a concern of some of the people in the chat with too many liquor stores, too many gas stations,
yeah,
too many convenient type things, but and not enough other type businesses opening up in the
sure,
county. And
sure.
so I'm glad that you brought that out and you recognize that we might need to change what our outer appearance is.
Well, I think our planning commission has tried to do a great job and been very thoughtful in their decision making, only to have it overturned by the board of commissioners. And it's
Tom
unbelievable.
Harrison and those guys, I think, have done a great job. But you're
Yeah,
right; they've not been listened to. And if
yeah.
you don't listen to the citizens in the community who are trying to help guide the public officials, because you get the attitude, we know better than you do. And I
Hmm.
think that's when you talk to citizens in Rockdale County. I mean, they're hurting financially, and they're
Yeah,
also hurting because they're not being listened to
right,
at all. Uh, 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 that's just ridiculous. It is actually
right,
ridiculous. So
right. And let me say this, Larry, when our schools are strong, we're all going to be better off with better schools. And so I think there's a lot of people that are committed to success. And I want to thank our teachers and all the support staff that go to work every day trying to make the best what they've been left to deal with. But one idea I do want to share that I mentioned to Richard Autry a long time ago is our county is able to accept students from outside Rockdale County. And when they do that, they can pay a fee. to attend Rockdale County schools. If we did that, then that would allow us to dismiss students from those schools if there were behavior concerns, right?
Yeah,
And then
but
you don't get in the legal aspect of things, and it becomes such a terse situation for, you know, a multitude of people. If we want the best for our community, we've got to make sure that everybody is doing well. And so the schools, I applaud the efforts of the teachers and staff, but we've got to do better in our community. And let me be clear, my role as chairman would have nothing to do with the school system except working in collaboration for their betterment.
and that is one of the things that I've talked about as running for the Board of Education is I want to get in communication with people like you, Janice,
Right.
who are in education, who is going to be the chairman of Rockdale County.
Thank you.
I want to actually communicate with other business leaders because people not know, but I am a business leader in this community. I run a multi-million-dollar business. So I mean, other people, and then also I want to communicate with current educators and former educators because I want the best for our students, and collectively we can come up with what that is.
Right.
Collectively, but
Agree.
it can't be a singular idea that's forced down people's throat by one individual. This has to be a team effort, and that's one of the reasons that I'm running for the post I'm running for, because
Right.
I want this to be a team effort and not a singular effort.
Yeah.
So Janice,
Very good.
thank you for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you very much,
And if
Larry.
people you want to stick around, I'll be on here for a little while
Yeah.
longer talking to you guys about some things. And it's just great to have Janice. It's great to have this. A lot of people have called and told me, Janice, they actually now have hope again. They had hope when
Well,
Mr.
that makes me feel really good. I mean, I
They had
sincerely
lost hope
appreciate.
when they knew Mr. Ahmad wasn't going to run. There were people that were heartbroken in this county. And when you stepped in, I've had so many people tell me that it was an answer to their prayers.
Honestly, I will tell you, I was in the same boat as them. And I really, really prayed about it because I know how devastated the Ahmad family has been. And so I thought maybe that it would be a possibility. And I prayed about it because I really want the best. And I too was starting to lose hope. And that says a lot because I'm a real optimist, but I just know that we can do so much better. And when we do better, communities around us do better, our citizens do better, and they have an opportunity to thrive as well. And that's what I want. So
Okay. Well, when you're gone, I'm gonna tell people out here I'm gonna talk to them about your campaign and what they need to do
okay.
and why they need to do it. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much.
Janice.
And thanks to all your listeners. I appreciate them being involved. That's critically important to the future success of our county.
I agree. And we thank you for coming on, and
Okay.
we will talk to you later. And we're going to arrange some sort of forum that'll not be on my show because I am, don't feel there's a conflict. Now that I've 100% said I might be running for office, but I'm going to be helping Janice Van Ness also.
Well, thank you. And I will be at 12 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be across from the ice skating rink doing my registration. So if anybody wants to stop by, I would love to see them.
That's great. So thank you, Janice, and we will talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, that was some great news and a great scoop for this week from Rockdale. But more than that, what this did was this brought hope to this community. This community needs an individual like Janice Van Ness to run for office because we need somebody who's going to stand up for family values and core values. And that's Janice Van Ness. If you want to help Janice in this battle, then Janice put her website. I mean, she put her email out there. I'm going to put that out there on the show again tonight so that you guys can look at it. Janice has got her phone number, which I'm going to make available. You need to reach out to Janice and you need to volunteer. Let me tell you guys, we're not going to win this election. We're not going to change Rockdale County or redirect or reset Rockdale County if you don't get involved and you don't help get Janice elected, because Janice she's done a big thing. She's offered herself to this community. And I'm gonna tell you, when you decide to run for office, you're gonna take criticism, you're gonna take heat, you're gonna take pain, but people only do that, like Janice, when they care about their community and they care about you. So, people, I encourage you, reach out to Janice, volunteer, put your time out there, put your money out there, put your efforts out there. Janice is going to need your help. Rockdale County needs your help. And you do that by reaching out to Janice and putting your time, efforts, and your money into that campaign. This is going to give Rockdale County that boost and hope that Rockdale County needs. Because Rockdale County is a great place to live. Rockdale County is a place that I've grown to love. It's somewhere I'm not going. I'm not leaving. I'm here, and I'm here to fight for my county. And I'm going to join Janice Van Ness in fighting to get her elected. But it's more than just Janice, right? It's other things we need to do. We need to change the direction of this board of commission. And by doing that, Janice is going to need some help on that board. We're going to need to replace Sherry Washington. Sherry Washington does not deserve to be on that board either. You saw, if any of you watched, I encourage you, go to the county website and watch the special called hearing they had this past Thursday. You had citizens go up there and explain why this group of individuals don't deserve a raise, why they shouldn't be giving themselves a raise. And you understand from what Ms. Corliss Turner says during her presentation, the board violated state law when giving themselves a raise because they didn't post it properly in a legal ad. The state law says you have to post this 3 consecutive weeks in the county organ. So they posted it 3 times in a 10-day time period, and the county attorney gave her something. Well, it was an emergency thing. That's not what state law says. State law says these things have to be posted 3 consecutive weeks, and a week is divided as a 7-day cycle. The new week begins after the 7-day cycle. So, guys, these individuals violated the law to give themselves a raise and then try to circumvent it and make an excuse about how they can do it and why they can do it. Thank you to the citizens of Rockdale County for calling out that nonsense. That's what needs to happen. We need to call them out, and things need to get strong in this county. People need to stand up and stand straight. Then there comes to the Board of Education. The Board of Education, Rockdale County School Systems, has had a declining school system for a decade now, over a decade. And one of the reasons is poor leadership, poor direction. We've had poor leadership at the board level, and we've had poor leadership at the superintendent level. Poor leadership reflects down in an organization. Poor leadership starts at the top, and it mirrors down all the way through the system to the students. If we have good leadership in an organization, then that good leadership and that strong direction is going to mirror down to the students. It's going to reflect down. When a sports organization begins to lose their way and they lose their direction, they change the general manager, they change the head coach, and they change it so that it reflects down. When a major corporation or a business starts losing its way, they change the leadership at the top so that the leadership at the top reflects down to the workers. It reflects down and in Rockdale County school system, it's going to reflect to the students. I have students that come, that have graduated from this school system, come to my office to fill out an application that should take 20 minutes. It takes 3 hours because they have no reading comprehension skills. They can't read a basic application and understand what you want them to put in the blanks. That has to stop. These children deserve a good basic education. They deserve to be able to learn to read and write and do basic arithmetic. Look, guys, I come from a small town in West Virginia. I received a basic education, strong reading, writing, and math skills. I attended a community college, Beckley College in Beckley, West Virginia. good basic skills that I got there. I now am the vice president of a multi-million-dollar company, in the saw and the sawing industry, concrete cutting industry. It is one of the leading companies in the Southeast United States and in the Eastern United States. And I did that. I worked my way up in this industry from a laborer, a foreman, an operator, a superintendent, a project manager, an estimator, and now the vice president of a major company. And I did that by possessing good basic skills: reading, writing, and math. If you want your kids to have a future and the chance of a good future, then it's basic writing skills, basic reading skills, basic arithmetic. And we do that by changing the leadership in Rockdale County. None of these things are easy, guys. None of these things are easy. But it starts with you, the voters. It starts with you talking to a friend talking to a friend, another friend talking to a friend. It's you getting involved in these campaigns. It's you getting people elected that care about this community. It's you that care about what's going on in this community and how it impacts this community. Guys, we've got to be in this together, and we have to make a difference. Janice Van Ness needs your help. I need your help. There are other candidates that need your help. Do your research. Find out who's running. Find out why they're running. Talk to them. Candidates that are accessible and will give you information are candidates that care about this community and they care about you. I thank each and every one of you for joining me on this show tonight. I'll be back next week, and we're going to talk about more things that are happening in Rockdale County. And we're going to talk about how you can make a difference in this county by getting involved and being involved. I encourage you, look up Janice Van Ness, look up her information. It's something we have to do, guys. We have got to make a difference in this community. And we make that difference by voting. We make that difference by making sure that your voices are heard. And your voice is heard by voting. I thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight. And I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And I look forward to you being here next week on This Week from Rockdale at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you and good night.